One of the most intriguing home automation booths at CES this year was from Aqara. And based on what I saw, it is clear that Aqara has fancy plans to
take over the world.
Excuse me, I mean take over your smart home. Now, is that a good thing? Can one brand lead us to the smart home utopia we've been promised? And is Aqara a good word to use in Scrabble if you're stuck with a Q and no U's? Well, I've got some answers for you. But first, I must admit, I am a little late to the Aqara party. A few months ago, I bought my very first Aqara device, the Aqara FP2 presence sensor. I made a couple videos about it and I had a lot of good things to say. Well, you can imagine the scene at Aqara headquarters when they saw that the DIY smart home guy had made a video about their product. In fact, the day after I posted my Aqara FP2 video, I actually got a call directly from the CEO of Aqara. At least I assume that's who called. It was a number I didn't recognize, I didn't answer, and they didn't leave a message, but you know, who else could it have been, right? Anyway, someone from Aqara did eventually get a hold of me and they sent me some Aqara stuff. So based on the Aqara devices I now have and what I saw at CES, let's see if Aqara is indeed ready to take over the smart home universe. Breadth of product. I think I can safely say that Aqara has the widest range of smart home products on the market right now. They've got a little bit of everything. Smart plugs, switches, a bunch of different sensors, cameras, locks and doorbells, lights, shades, even obscure stuff like pet feeders and whatever this cube thing is. About the only type of smart devices in my house that Aqara doesn't have in their lineup are colored bulbs, thermostats, and valve controls. But they did show off a valve control prototype at CES, so it could be something that will be available in the future. But overall, Aqara has you covered for most things people want to make smart. Except my dog. Nothing can make her smart. Innovation. This is what drew me to Aqara in the first place. The Aqara FP2 presence sensor, while not perfect, is definitely a leap forward over PIR motion sensors. And like I said in my video, I think it is the future of many home automations. They've even added features to the FP2 like sleep detection, which is creepy, but it could have some useful applications if you're willing to mount the FP2 on your ceiling, which I am not. Now at CES, they showed off a number of new innovations, including the M3 hub, which will introduce a Matter border router and a thing called Home Copilot. In theory, Home Copilot will allow you to talk to the hub or text the hub and tell it exactly what kind of automations you want in your home. Then it will use generative AI to create those automations. It sounds amazing. It is exactly the type of thing the smart home industry needs to bring in less tech-oriented types into the fold. But only if it works the way it says it will. Now, I'm a little bit skeptical of that, but I'm excited to find out. They also announced that the M3 will support device binding, and that allows Aqara Thread devices that are connected via the hub to talk directly to each other and continue automations even if the hub itself is down. And that's taken local automation to a whole new level. Affordability. The Aqara FP2 notwithstanding, Aqara devices are almost always on the lower end of prices in their category. I mean, most of their sensors are like 20 bucks, and that's a really good price for Zigbee sensors. But it's only a good value if the device works, which brings us to quality. Are Aqara devices the best of the best? No. Their sensors are not the most feature-rich, but they are good at what they do. For example, the P1 motion sensor looks a little goofy. The cooldown time is a little longer than I would prefer, but it captures motion accurately and quickly, which is its number one job. The T1 leak detector also reacts quickly to water, job number one. And one thing I really like about it are these little contact screws. Now normally, you just set this on the ground and it will detect a leak when the water on the ground bridges the two screws, but in some leak detection scenarios, I like to use probes, which I have a whole video on that you can check out. But using these little screws, I can undo them a little bit and then connect some wire and make my own water probe. It's kind of neat. Those are both Zigbee products. Aqara's first venture into Matter over Thread is with this P2 door window sensor. My first take is that it is bigger than most contact sensors, which is kind of a bummer, but I will say connecting it via Matter was a breeze. It's the best Matter experience I've had so far. It's fast and responsive and maintains connections, and it gives me some hope that Matter may not be terrible forever. Maybe. So overall, I'd say Aqara generally has pretty good quality. The area where quality generally comes up when you're talking about Aqara devices is in their compatibility. Most Aqara devices are Zigbee devices, and Aqara has not always been known to follow base Zigbee protocol specs to a T. Their older Zigbee devices were very tough or even impossible to connect with hubs like SmartThings and Hubitat, and even if you got them connected, they might not manage to stay connected and they won't work. However, the newer Aqara devices with Zigbee 3.0 seem to be connecting and staying connected very well to third-party hubs. I've had the leak detector connected directly to Hubitat for a couple weeks without issue, and I've had the Aqara P1 motion sensor connected directly to my Homey Pro for a couple months, and it still works great. I've had no problems with that. But the best way to ensure a good connection to Aqara devices is to connect them directly to the Aqara M2 hub. It has a Zigbee radio, can connect to your network via Ethernet or Wi-Fi, and it even has an IR blaster to control your TV or whatnot. Now, while you can do some automations with the M2 hub, which I'll get to in a minute, To me, the greatest value of the M2 Hub is that you can use it as a bridge to bring Aqara devices into Apple HomeKit. Now this also works for Alexa and Google Home, but Apple HomeKit devices can be notoriously expensive. So the money you save by automating your Apple HomeKit home with affordable Aqara devices, you can pretty much pay for the cost of the M2 Hub in no time at all. The M2 Hub can also be used to bridge Aqara devices into Home Assistant, so you're assured a better connection than with whatever Zigbee stick you happen to cobble together with your Home Assistant controller. Of course, as Aqara's Matter lineup expands, compatibility will become less of an issue, assuming Matter doesn't eventually collapse in on itself from its own suckiness. And you don't have to worry about compatibility at all if you're willing to just stay within the Aqara ecosystem. Aqara devices connected via Wi-Fi or via Zigbee to the M2 Hub are set up and managed via the Aqara Home app. This app is where you add Aqara devices and connect to Apple Home and other third-party ecosystems. You can also create scenes and automations in the Aqara Home app, so you don't even need any third-party connections to fully automate your Aqara devices. Creating automations is pretty straightforward using their if-then rule engine. It does even allow for some conditions to be built into your rules. Now, you're not going to do anything too fancy and complicated with these rules, but for the basic things that most people want to do and automate, it does the job. Also, once the automation is set, if all of the devices in the automation are connected to the same M2 Aqara Hub, the automation will run locally, which is always a good thing. Just note that the M2 Hub, while it can connect to HomeKit via Matter, it is not a border router, so you actually can't bring the Aqara P2 door and window sensor into the Aqara ecosystem yet, which is kind of weird, but I think they'll solve that pretty soon. Availability. Smart devices can be difficult to find sometimes, but Aqara seems to be making efforts to be more accessible to the mainstream, which is great for introducing more people to our hobby. Not only are Aqara devices available on Amazon, but they are popping up in places like Home Depot, and recently they just became available on BestBuy.com. Now that's great because Best Buy has a price match guarantee, and they are based in Minnesota, so you can help support my local economy so we can invest in things like this weird new state flag. So is Aqara ready to take over your smart home and be the one brand shop for all of your home automation needs? If you're a real hardcore home automation enthusiast, no, of course not, but who could, right? The automation of the Aqara app will not match your ambition. And while Aqara has a lot of devices that will work for you, you will never be satisfied with just Aqara devices. You know this. But if you're just getting into home automation, or you're not the type that wants to geek out about home automation, I can see a scenario where you could be perfectly happy with only Aqara devices and only using the Aqara app. As for me, you know I love the FP2 presence sensor. I'm also very impressed with the performance of the Matter over Thread contact sensor I have. And I think a lot of these devices from Aqara really fit that sweet spot of price and performance that people are looking for, including me. Now, I don't see myself using the Aqara Home app for automations because, I've got more powerful options that can automate Aqara devices and all my other devices at the same time. But I am really intrigued to see how the Home Copilot automations work in the upcoming M3 Hub. I really think that's the type of thing that could open up home automation to a whole new set of users. So that could be really exciting. So that's my take on Aqara overall. If you want to see how I'm using my FP2 presence sensor to automate my kitchen LED lights, you can check out this video right here. Oh, and you can't use Aqara in Scrabble because it's a proper noun, but I'm sure you knew that. So thanks for watching.